Hi, everyone. Good morning. Welcome to another Sunday at Stand Christian Fellowship. So today is technically one of our Unplugged Sundays. And for those of you who may not know what that means, we do church at home, and it's just really Pastor Tay and I who sort of running this operation. But we've got amazing dedicated members, some that are online and some that actually come in person. And so in order to create some type of a balance for Pastor Tay and I in our lives, we, with the support of our members, have decided to take one Sunday each month where we unplug, right? And where we're not having to sort of create content and we're not having to come up with a message, but we're just able to rest, maybe go away, maybe take a vacation. Well, this weekend, we're just going to be at home. We're doing some really fun stuff, celebrating a birth of a baby. And so we are excited to be on an Unplugged Sunday, but we definitely wanted to continue to bring forward information about the current fast that we're in, the corporate fast that we as Stand Christian Fellowship are in. So that's what I'm here to do today, and it won't be long. It won't be a full sermon, if you will, but I do want to make sure that I'm checking in, and in our typical unplugged, buck-naked fashion, right? Buck-naked with Pastor Tay and Shy. I want to just really check in with you all about how you might be doing and share how I'm doing. So if you are following us, or you definitely follow during and throughout the week, I have been posting some motivational things, some little messages and whatnot. But I also shared on Thursday that I've been having a tremendous struggle getting started with this fast, right? Which at first I was really embarrassed about, right? Like I was embarrassed to come before our congregation. I was embarrassed to even tell my husband that I am the one who feels like I heard from God that we needed to do this fast, and that we needed to not just do a fast, but teach the steps of why we do a fast, what is a fast, and then how to actually like prepare for that fast, implement that fast, why it's important, or because you don't always have to fast corporately, but why it would be important, or why there's power in corporate prayer and fasting, what it is to petition God specifically for a specific cause, how when two or more of us are gathered, he promises to be there in the midst, and not only be there, but deliver, to answer prayers, to give us the desires of our heart, as long as those desires and the things that we're asking are lining up with his word, right? So I'm the one who felt like God was like speaking that to me. And then when I shared it with Pastor Tay, he was like, oh, I'm with it. Like, let's do it. So I say all that just to kind of say that on Thursday, I decided, you know what? And I shared this, like I made a video 3 times. And to me, it just didn't feel genuine. It just didn't feel honest. And it wasn't like I was lying, but it just felt hype, right? Lots of hype. Stand Christian Fellowship has always promised God that we would come off whatever we came off the pulpit with, or whatever we came across the screen with, was going to be 100% genuine to the best of our ability. And so when I finally did and posted that last video, I was being as honest and transparent as I could, which is that although I am the one who sort of, with Pastor Tay's support and whatnot, I'm the one who implemented this idea. I'm the one who asked everybody to come together and spend that very first week writing it down and making it plain, right? Habakkuk 2:2. And the Lord answered and said, write down the vision plainly on tablet so that he who reads it can run with it, right? I'm the one who said that. And yet, and then I introduced this Sunday, this very past Sunday, hey, okay, whatever it is that we wrote down and made plain, what were we writing down and making plain? Anything that was smudging up our mirror, right? So we talked about this idea of man in the mirror. We talked about this idea of we're trying to see ourselves clearly, the good, the bad, the ugly, so that we then know how to go before God and say, change this in me, help me with this, strengthen me with this, give me courage, and help me be strong in this area. Show me my gifts and talents and my purpose so I can walk with it. So it's not all negative, right? It's not all about what we need to change. It can be about how we need to gird ourselves up with the truth that he has made us with our purpose and move forward, right? To let go of fear, to let go of condemnation, to let go of worry and anxiety. So it's a variety of fruit flavors. But that's what we were writing down and making plain. All the things that were getting in our way of being able to see ourselves clearly so that God could begin to work on me in 2023, right? And that stands sort of theme for the year. Working on me 2023, not Shira working on her son or Shira working on her husband or Shira working on people at her job. No. Shira working on Shira. You working on you, right? And the best way for us to do that is to have a real clean mirror that we're looking in. So this 2-week fast that we've set out on, that I helped kick on off, I have struggled immensely to get started with. I struggled with writing it down. Like I just kept putting it off, but I got around to that. And I have to tell you, I don't think I did the type of job with that God asked me to do. And I've really been struggling and asking myself, like, what is the struggle? Like, what God told you to do. And I don't know about y'all, but are there ever times when God tells you to do something, you hear it clean, clear, plain as day, nothing is muffling it up, and for whatever reason, you just do not execute, you just do not obey? Well, that is the position that your pastor, Pastor Shira Harris, has been in over this time. And yet at the same time, every morning I wake up and I say, I'm not going to quit. I know what God told me to do, and I'm going to get myself together. And so I really started asking God, like, what is the problem? Like, I really want to hear from you. I really want to go into this fast. Like, you didn't even ask me to like put aside food, which would usually be my bigger struggle, right? But he showed me 2 things. One, he said, you prepared poorly. And that's really what I'm here to talk to you about, planning and preparation. Planning and preparation. It's the key to everything. It's the key to everything. But the other thing he showed me was, I told you what I wanted you to set aside. One of the things I wanted you to do is set aside social media. I wanted you to just set it aside, put it on hold, like, no social media. And what you did, Shira, is you convinced yourself that if you were on social media scrolling and looking for things to then post for Stand and for Stand's members and to encourage them, then it would be okay. That's not what I told you to do. I thought I told you it was working on me 2023, not you getting together, encouraging things to post to the folks at Stand while you're busy not doing what I asked you to do in setting those things aside. Because when you're scrolling away, the hours are still clicking away, no differently than if you're looking at things that you're not posting to Stand, right? Y'all, I'm just trying to keep it real. I'm sorry if it's discouraging to you that I don't have it together. I hope not. I hope you know better than that. I think our people give me a lot of freedom to be me. But I know that the only way that we can truly help each other and really get where we're trying to go, the word of God says it's by the blood of the Lamb, which he took care of, and the word of our testimony that helps people get closer to him, get closer to their purpose and be saved. So that's all I'm trying to do, right? I'm just trying to keep it real. So with that, he said, okay, and let me tell you this, okay? So here's the buck naked part of this little message today. So I'm literally in bed, scrolling away, looking for things to post on Stand, which I really was doing. I'm not lying about that. That's really what I was doing. But my husband, meanwhile, was talking to his cousin on speakerphone. We do that all the time, chit-chatting and, yucking it up. And she says, is Shira on social media? And instantly I just got this like anger in my spirit. And he said, yeah, she's on social media. And she says, now mind you, she's on speakerphone. So she says, Shira, I thought you weren't supposed to be on social media. I thought you were fasting social media. And I said, I thought it was working on me 2023, not you working on me. You work on you, I'll work on me. You don't worry about it. And joke, laugh. But in my spirit, I thought, why is she all up in my business? And the Lord said to me, there's a huge difference between being in someone's business and holding each other accountable. And she actually did say that to me, but I blew her off. I didn't want to listen to her. And I really had to ask myself, God, what is that about? And publicly, I will apologize to you, Kina, because you were right. You were absolutely right. And she said, we're just here to, all we got is each other. I'm just trying to hold you accountable. Do I think she was being a little messy? Yes, I do. But that's not the point, right? She loves me. She's looking out for me. She knows what I said, and she was right. So even if her intentions weren't good, which I think they were, she was right. And my spirit felt it. And I didn't want to look at it. And so I really went back and said, God, what is going on? Like, I don't know if any of you can relate to this, but I said, what is going on? And so that's when he said, people perish for lack of planning, right? A man without a vision perishes. Planning is us being able to visualize what we're trying to do and then being able to see a potential outcome, which then helps us to drive towards that. Writing it down and making it plain is the absolute first step of that. But then to say, okay, we've written it down, we've made it plain. We picked a couple things that we were going to set aside, and then now what? So I heard somebody else say this. I heard someone say that we can, if we do not have a plan, even if it's something that we don't normally do, then we absolutely need a plan, because otherwise we'll forget, we'll neglect, we'll blow it off, whatever it is. The things that we do every day, those things that we have that we're setting aside for this 2 weeks, we do them every day. Sometimes we're doing them multiple times a day. We don't even have to remember to do them. Why? Because they are our habits. We have a daily practice of engaging in those things, which is why sometimes that daily practice is more often or taking the place of the practice of us making God a priority, right? And so what we've agreed to do for this 2 weeks is to set aside those practices to start to put discipline in place that starts to place God in his rightful place. And after we do that, we may choose to re-engage with some of those things that we set aside. We may choose to never re-engage with some of those things, or we may choose to re-engage, but with modification, so that the rightful place where God should be doesn't get messed with, right? That's really the hope and the goal, is that we start to create a discipline around spending time with God, even though we may not actually desire to spend a time with God, but we are creating a discipline. And once you do that discipline long enough, and you start to see the benefits of that, both physically, mentally, spiritually, I guess that's more than both, but all in those ways, mentally, physically, spiritually, you start to see the benefits of it. All of a sudden, that discipline becomes a desire. All of a sudden, the thing that we're doing simply out of obedience, because remember, what does the Bible say? Obedience is better than sacrifice. All of a sudden, what we were putting in place as a discipline becomes a desire. And now we don't have to fight so hard against those other things in our life. We don't have to set them aside and begrudge it and feel guilty about it. Even if, and a lot of times these things are not bad, evil, sinful things. But remember, anything that distracts us from our relationship with God and or the things that God's telling us to do becomes sinful, right? And so what we're trying to do is clean our mirror, make it clean, make it clear, so that God can start to show us, right? That's what we're trying to do. So you see me looking over to the side. I'm going to share my screen with you right now. And I'm trying to do this fancy like my brother-in-law. But basically, what we're doing here is, and the Lord answered me. I'm going to move my camera. Look, high tech. I'm high tech, y'all. Okay, so here what it says on the screen. We're going to start with the first scripture that we've been talking about, right? Habakkuk 2:2, and we're doing it out of the King James Version. And it says, and the Lord answered me and said, write the vision, make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth. Okay, so week one, that very first week, I asked everybody, including myself, to write down a list, keep asking God, what are the things, the distractions, the behaviors, the relationships I have, the bad behavior, the bad choices, the fears, whatever it is, what are those things in my life that keep me from seeing myself clearly in a mirror, that allow me to not be the person you want me to be, the best version of myself. Because my goal in 2023, Stan's goal in 2023 is working on me 2023. What are we working on? We're trying to become the best versions of ourselves. And that best version of ourselves is not what we desire, but what he desires of us, because that's when we'll be most happy. That's when we'll be doing what we were created to do. That's when depression goes. That's when anxiety goes. That's when things start to flow the way that they're supposed to, when we become obedient instead of always trying to prove to God through sacrifice that we love him. He said, I don't need you to sacrifice to show me that you love me. I just need you to obey me. And then I'll know that you love me, right? So the next scripture just leads right into that. Okay, so Psalm 139, 23 and 24 in the Amplified says, search me thoroughly, O God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts, and see if there's any wicked or hurtful way in me, and lead me in the everlasting way. This is how we ask God, right? This is all about the how. Pastor Tay's big about the how. How do we write it down and make it plain and know that everything that needs to be on that list is on there, and that we're not living in some kind of like self-deception? That's a good question for myself. Well, I pray Psalm 139, 33, and 34. I'm asking God, you search me, because your ways are higher than my ways. You're better than your ways are better than my ways. You're going to see things I don't want to see. You're going to see things I can't see. And you're going to confirm things that I can. And then help me with the anxiety, help me with the depression, help me with my wickedness, help me with my ways that are hurtful to other people, because my goal is to be the best version of myself that I can be, leading me on the way that's everlasting, right? So what do I mean when I say I did not? So I have to take accountability. And I said this in my video on Thursday, that I did not properly lead us or guide us or teach us beyond writing it down and making it plain. I intended to. One of the things I said was, let's make sure that we not only have written it down and make it plain, not only that we choose a couple of things, not all the things at once, but a couple of things that we believe God is telling us to set aside. And it might not be the biggest things that we feel are on our list, but what are those specific things? Ask God what they are. And then, as of last Monday, start to set them aside and fast them. So, and really be asking God, Psalm 139, 23 and 24. Now, I did a good job up to there. What I didn't do is talk about, while you're setting aside the practices that you do every day and putting those things on hold, what should you be doing instead? Well, that's the piece I want to share today. And I apologize that it just slipped away from me. And maybe in my own struggle, or maybe just because this is part of us learning together, I don't know. But in any case, we are where we are. So the preparation and the planning is what I didn't do a good job on. And that's what I want to lend to us today. So let me read Proverbs 3:7 in the Amplified. Do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord with reverent awe and obedience, and turn entirely away from evil. Psalm 16:9 in the Amplified says, a man's mind plans his ways as he journeys through his life, but the Lord directs his steps and establishes them. That's why we want to ask God what he wants for us to fast. We want to ask God what he wants for us to work on in ourselves. That's why we're saying, God, you show me me. Because while you're showing me me, I'm not getting in my own way. And I'm focused on what you're telling me, and I'm not worried about what's going on to my left and what's going on to my right and getting in other people's business, right? I'm just worried about me, because as Proverbs 19:21 in the Amplified said, many plans are in a man's mind, but it's the Lord's purpose for him that will stand and be carried out. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and just come on back full. So with that, got to move my camera again because you guys know I'm high tech. All right, so with all that, here's the planning and preparation piece. Week 1, We wrote it down, we made it plain, right? And if you haven't, start. Get a list out, get a piece of paper out, and start to write down, start to pray Psalm 139, 23, and 24. Search me, O Lord, thoroughly and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts, and see if there is any hurtful and or wicked way in me, so that I can be on the path that's everlasting. Ask him to show you what is getting in your way of communication with him. Ask him to show you what is in your life that is a distraction, a fear, an excuse, a bad behavior, something that is controlling you, something that is causing you to be anxious, something that is causing you to be depressed, someone that is not supposed to be there, that is a distraction, because while you're in relationship with them, you are not in relationship with God. Like, this is what needs to be asked, right? This is what needs to be asked. You guys, I got to keep moving the camera because I'm so high tech. Okay. Excuse me. Write it down, make it plain. And why are we writing it down and making it plain? So that we can read it, so that we can remember it, and so that we can run after it. Run after what it is that he's showing us, right? Okay, we did that, or we're going to do that. Then we're going to ask God at the very same time, help me identify which of these things, because he's only going to have us do it a step at a time. This won't be the only time we do this. This is the first time we're doing this. So what is it, God, that you want me to set to the side? What is it that you want me to set aside for 2 weeks? Now, you could say, well, a week's already gone, Shara, because we were supposed to start that on Monday. You're right. You're right. You're absolutely right. And the resource I'm going to give you at the end of this to help us kind of create a discipline until it's a desire is actually set up for 21 days, which is 3 weeks. I don't want you to get hung up on the time frames, right? I probably shouldn't even have introduced a time frame. I was just trying to, maybe I didn't ask God enough. Maybe I spoke before I asked him, but the time frame isn't as important as it is creating a discipline so that it can become a desire, so that God is put in his rightful place. He can then have a clear line of communication with us, so that when we're working on me 2023, that we're getting truth, because Pastor Tay is talking to us about the belt of truth. Y'all, we can't even go into war. We can't go into battle, which we are going into every day, whether we're prepared for it or not. We can't truly do that in a successful way if we're not doing it in truth. Can you imagine being a soldier and going into war, but not knowing the truth about your enemy? Not knowing who you're really fighting? Not knowing the truth about the what are these things called? Like where, you know, the latitude and longitude, whatever that thing is called. If you didn't know that that was the truth, you'd be dead in 5 minutes. And a lot of us are walking around being spiritually beat up because we're not girding ourselves up with the truth. And this first part of this first fast is about truth. God, show me the truth about me so that I can begin to see myself in truth, no matter how hard that is to see, no matter how much I try to cover it up, no matter how much I try to hide it. Just show me me. Show me the truth so that I no longer am living in a cloud. There's this commercial that's on TV right now, and it's about vaping. And basically these parents are saying, I don't think that a lot of kids are doing it. And there's pictures of like basically a vape cloud that like covers the parent's head from here all the way up. And they're just walking around talking about how they don't think that vaping is really as bad as everyone's making it sound. And they don't think a lot of kids are actually doing it. And the caption says something like, you know, you need to get your head out of the clouds. That's what we're talking about. A lot of us, me first, are walking around with our head in the clouds saying, it's not really that bad. I mean, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm not as bad as I used to be. And I got to tell you something. God said to me about that catchphrase He said that is a two-edged sword. On one side, it can cut through condemnation, and it can be exactly what you need to keep you moving forward when you're not perfect. Hey, I might not be where I want to be, but I'm not where I used to be. And praise God for that. That's that side that cuts through condemnation and keeps you moving forward. But there's another edge of that sword that cuts through motivation and says, hey, you're not as bad as you used to be. I mean, you're not where you want to be, but you're not as bad as you used to be. So don't let them get you all hyped up on having to change or do better or whatever. Like you've already done so much. You're cool. You're good. Let me tell you something. This side from heaven, we're never good. We're never good. We're nothing but filthy rags unless we have a direct line of communication with God. Unless we can have a phone. That's fine. We can have a phone. You like my picture of my baby. We can have a phone, but unless you also have a charger, unless you also have that charger, and unless that phone is connected to that charger, that phone eventually will become ineffective. So yeah, you're charged up more than you used to be, but that charge will die unless you are connected to the source. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to see anything that is keeping our connection to the source like a weak connection or no connection at all. And that starts with truth. So the scriptures that I shared with you, Proverbs 3:7, it says, don't be wise in your own eyes. Don't be wise. Don't say, I think I'm cool. Or I don't need to ask God what I need to put on my list because I already know me. Don't be wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord. Reverently seek him, be in awe of him, and be in obedience to him so that you can stay entirely away from evil. Remember, we're made up of evil, y'all. We're made up of sin. So without the connection, we're going to peter out. Don't be wise in your own mind. And we will always plan out our own journey. And that's good. It's good to have a vision, but don't let it be your vision and not his vision. So here is what we're doing. I'm going to wrap up by saying this. I'm sorry if it feels like I'm all over the place, but hopefully I don't feel like I'm all over the place. Hopefully what I'm saying is resonating. I know I said 2 weeks on a fast, and by all means, 2 weeks is what I said. I know that for me, and I believe that what God is saying is it's not so much about a set time frame as it is about an individual connection with our God working on me, right? So for me, it may be 21 days from now. For you, it may be like, no, I did start on Monday and I'm feeling good and I'm wearing it. Good. But all of us can continue to learn. Some of you may be doing good, but with the resource I'm about to give you, it's out of Transformation Church. It's 21 days. It's 21 days of fasting and prayer. But just because you're not fasting or just because you start to incorporate those things in doesn't mean that you shouldn't continue to pray, right? So I'm giving us a resource that we can use so that we are prepared to create discipline. So here's what I'm asking. Number one, get that list where you have written it down and made it plain. What did we write down? The distractions, the fears, anything that's keeping us from having that clear line and connection of communication with God, anything that has us our head in the clouds, anything that has us in denial about the truth, any of that should be written down on a list. If you have that list, God bless you. If you don't have that list, write it down and make it plain. Habakkuk 2:2. Okay, that's the number one thing. Number two, as you're writing that list and as we continue to go through this time of fasting, prayer, and petitioning God to show us, continue to pray Psalm 139, 23 and 24, asking God to seek you and show you so that you're not avoiding any truth, right? Number three, choose a specific. So if it's only for the next week, because you're just going to go 2 weeks, if you're going to start afresh and you're going to make it another two, like, start now because you haven't started and you're going to go for 2 weeks, if you're going to go for 21 days while you're using this resource, whatever it is. And even if you're not fasting at all, but you do want to partake in reading the journal and devotional, do you, because it's about you working on you, right? I'm just trying to help us understand why we fast, why we pray, how we set ourselves up for success. And where we are right now is in planning and preparation. So the third thing that you're going to do is you're going to set a specific time every single day that you are going to spend with God. Now, I know I said this, but I think I breezed over it in church too fast. You're going to set a specific time so that you can create a discipline of, this is what I do every day, every single day, whether I want to, whether I don't, whether I'm feeling it, whether I'm not. I'm going to do it because I said I would do it. And I'm trying to create a new discipline or a new habit, right? So same time, same place, same time, same place. So in the morning, if I say at 5 o'clock every morning, I am going to be sitting in my office at my desk with no computers on, I'm going to do 10 minutes of praise and worship, 10 minutes of prayer, and 10 minutes of reading. That gives me my 30 minutes that I'm going to spend. Then I'm going to do that every day in that order in my office for the next however time that I set. So for me, it might be 21 days. For you, it might be 2 weeks. For someone else, it might be 1 week. But the point is, we're going to create a discipline, a time every single day for the same amount of time. You may say, I'm going to do praise and worship for 5 minutes. I'm going to pray for 5 minutes. I'm going to read for 5 minutes. That's 15 minutes. Whatever you decide it's going to be, that's okay. You know what you need to do. So that's the third thing. Create a consistent time and place that you're going to spend with God for whatever amount of time that you set, right? And during that time is when I would like to suggest to you, if you don't already have a plan or you don't already have a devotional, that we read out of a Bible reading plan that was created by Transformation Church, Pastor Mike Todd, who I love. If you don't know him, you should definitely watch him. He's amazing. But they're in the midst of a 21-day fast and prayer. And they created two things. They created an actual reading plan that's 21 days long. And the cool thing about it, it's on the Bible app that you can find on your smart device, right? So whatever it is that your mobile device is, if you have an iPhone or an Apple, you can go into the Apple Store. If you have an Android, you can go into Google Play. You can look up YouVersion Bible app. You can download it. You also can just do it. And I'm going to put these links, what I'm talking about, are going to be in the bio of this video so that you have them. And if you can't find it, you don't know what the heck you're talking about, Shira, you text me, you call me, you get in touch with me, I'll give them to you directly. But you're going to be able to get that. They created a reading plan and they put it in my Bible app so that everybody can access it. It's called The Sauce. The Sauce, Seek First. So there's two in there. There's The Sauce, 21-day prayer, but then there's also The Sauce, Seek First. That's the one that I am suggesting that we all use together. When you go in and you start that reading plan, it starts it on the day that you start it, and it goes for 21 days. It gives you a daily devotional, which is just a short reading, and then it gives you a couple of scriptures that you also can refer to for that day. That's what I am suggesting that you do during your consistent, set-aside day and place during this fast, right? So you're going to go and you're going to use that devotional if you don't already have a devotional. If you do have a devotional, that's when you can do your devotional time, right? The other thing I'm going to link in the bio is they created The Sauce prayer journal. Basically, it talks about what is fasting. It's very short tidbits that just continue to train us and educate us and help us understand what the heck are we doing and why are we doing it. And then it's really legitimately, if you print it out, if you're a person who, because again, I think there's something about writing it down, not typing it or whatever, but it's a PDF that you can actually print out. Now, here's the deal. I am willing, for my people that come in person, I am willing to print them out, put them inside of little little notebooks, and then hand them to you this next Sunday. All you need to do is text me and let me know that you want me to do that for you, and I will do it. For those of you who are online, who might be seeing this, whatever, the link is in the bio to the PDF, and you're able to just print it out and use it accordingly, right? That's another way for you to start to journal. I talked about that, right? I talked about that when I was talking about doing the fast. It's super important for you to journal so that you are writing down your thoughts, writing down what God's showing you. You're continuing to write it down and make it plain. And all of a sudden, these things will start to come to life. What we need to do is create a discipline until it becomes a desire. Okay, so one more time, I'm going to share my screen. If I can get my little guy to work here, I'm going to share my screen so that you can see these scriptures. You also will be able to see here's the scriptures, but then over here on this side, you're able to see the Transformation Church information. As you can see here, you can find it it's called YouVersion Bible app, and it can be on any of your mobile devices. So it can be on your iPad, it can be on your phone, Android or Apple. And then here are the links. But again, you guys, these links are, I'm going to actually put them in the bio of this video. So you don't have to feel like you have to write all this down. But here are our scriptures. And I just want to thank all of you for just being so patient and being, you know what it is? For allowing Pastor Tay and I to just be real. We kind of play on the term buck naked, but there's something to be said about being called to be pastors, to be shepherds. It makes you feel like you're also supposed to have it all together and be perfect. And I feel like a lot of times parishioners, people in the church, they can't help it. They feel like, yeah, my pastor should have it all together and they should have all the answers and they should be perfect and they shouldn't struggle. That's our job to struggle, not the pastor's job to struggle. And I just want to say thank you to all of our folks who make it real safe for us to struggle. Any pressure that we feel we put on ourselves. And I just want to thank you all for that. This is a marathon, not a sprint. We are all in this together. We are all struggling. We all want to be the best versions of ourselves, and God loves all of us, and none of us have it perfect. So hopefully this was good for you. Hopefully you got something out of it. Just remember that in the bio here, which will be in the description of the video, you will see these links that I showed you on the screen. And then also keep in mind that although we are premiering this on YouTube, and then we will also put the link on Facebook, y'all can always go to our Stand Christian Fellowship app, which you can also find in your Google Play or in your App Store. You can go right there. It'll look just this. What you see behind me is exactly what you'll see as the symbol for our Bible, for our church app. And in that church app would be this video along with the links, because it's going to take you right to YouTube, right? But it will be the fast, easy place if you want to watch us live. It's the fast, easy place if you want to see the very last message that we did. Like, it's taken us a minute to get on this thing, but we're getting it together. So just thank all of you guys for being who you are and allowing us to be who we are. And I just want to end by saying I want you guys to have an amazing week. You know, it's playoff weekend. You know, Dallas is playing today, and Dallas is God's team. So keep it going. We love you guys. We'll see you soon. And we are in person next Sunday, and then we will also be on Facebook Live, 10:30. Love you guys. Bye.